Everyone, good morning. Welcome to today's session of the Debate Club's weekend sessions on various topics. So every week we have the debate on different topics, and today's topic is same same-sex marriages should be legalized. Agree or disagree? And this is the fact sheet. I'm sharing my screen to show the fact sheet on this, just to help you prepare. So you will find the link to this on our WhatsApp channel, so you can have a look at it at your own as well. And I'm just quickly skimming through it so that you get some context here. And this is a very interesting topic. There's been a lot of interest in the WhatsApp group as well that about this topic, and people have certain very strong opinions on this. So I'm looking forward to having a civil discussion on this. And please be respectful to the other side. I mean, I don't have to say this because we've never had an incident so far of people being disrespectful, but still. So another thing is that there is a poly thing that we've added here, which is you can find the link to this in the chat. So open the link and you can add your stance here. You can either agree, you can use the thumbs up icon to agree to the statement, or thumbs down to the disagree. And you can change it throughout the session as well. So if you hear strong opinions and you're persuaded to shift to the other side, you can come and change this until the end of the session. So we'll leave this open here. Now, with that said, let's go over the actual facts here. So as of now, same-sex marriage is not recognized in India. The Supreme Court of India, headed by unanimously ruled against legalizing same-sex marriage last year. Okay, and then the court also ruled 3-2 verdict against civil unions for non-heterosexual couples. And the court left it to the parliament to decide the issue. So this has been a very hot topic in the recent years. And right as it stands now, it is not legalized. And the whole context of the debate is, should same-sex marriages be legalized in India? Okay, and there is a lot of public events as well, activists gathering to support the cause for like same-sex marriages. And there are certain arguments here that I've listed. This is just information from Bing that I've just listed here. So typical arguments are, to promote equality and non-discrimination, and promotion of secularism, and legal protections for people who have, different sexual preferences. An argument against homosexual marriages, traditional definition of marriage is being maligned. That is one argument, and then undermining institution of marriage and religious beliefs. So with that said, I think it should give you sufficient context to understand what the topic's about. And I would like to invite you guys to start sharing your viewpoints. And the way you do it, if this is the first time you're joining, what you do is like you on the bottom of your screen, you will see there's a button called reaction. So you can react to you can click on that and then click on raise hand. So once you raise hand, you will be next in the queue and you can share your opinion or share your stance and justification for it. And people will be queued up after you. Please take no more than like 2 to 3 minutes for you to share your viewpoints, and then the next person would share their viewpoints. So if you're ready, please raise your hand and then we can get started. Yeah, Prince, go ahead.
Yeah. So first of all, regarding the marriage part, so of course, Raghav, you rightly pointed out that the definition of a marriage in our legal books are that marriage is between two individuals of opposite gender capable of bearing a baby. Now, living together is not directly similar or equal to marriage because in living together, they have their right to privacy, their fundamental rights. That's why the Article 377 was repealed, and I guess no one would be against it. Everyone's is in support of it. But marriage is an institution. Marriage is not just a relationship between two individuals, but as it is said in India, between two families. It is a continuous institution that's running throughout the country, and it bears so many subparts to it, which all needs to be socially accepted for this to happen. But a really nice way to kind of pass through this difficulty as of now could be live-in relationships, because live-in relationships are given equal importance. If someone bears a baby, then they have alimony rights, they have property rights and everything, which a married couple doesn't. Because if homosexual couples do decide to get into a marital relationship, then there is a lot of gray areas in the laws and the constitution part. What happens when there are property disputes between the two couples? What is the rule for domestic violence? As it is already known that if domestic violence cases are taken, then females are given much more importance because the law states so. Then there is no specific rules on the alimony part. If they are of same sex, then who will get alimony? If there are two female partners, one is earning, one is not earning, then what is the alimony aspect? The marriage, since it's a marriage topic, the social legal aspect is very important because uh, government was made by society to uphold social values and to make these social values into a law. Each society has their own set of values, their own set of ethics. So I think as long as the society does not accept the legality and the actual relationship part of it, making it into a law would be really difficult for the legislature also. And I suppose the Supreme Court also pointed out that you need to kind of make it accepted in the society through the legislature itself. Yeah.
Okay, just a couple of questions. So are you? I'm guessing that you're agreeing or disagreeing with this, right? You're disagreeing with the statement.
Yeah,
Okay.
for the marriage partners.
Okay, but also you posted a lot of challenges to enforcing this kind of a law. But wouldn't you, like, there are a couple of dimensions of discussion here. One is, like, do you, like, there are legal challenges, of course, but there is also an ethical consideration, right? So would you say that all the things that you've mentioned, right, about the challenges, the alimony, all these things are hurdles that you can overcome to bring them this right of equality, instead of like saying that this is too difficult, so I'm not gonna do this because it's too difficult and challenging. You understand my point?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So regarding the right to equality part, I do believe that as for now, living together is a great aspect. As I mentioned, live-in relationships, but marriage comes with a lot of constraints, a lot of societal constraints. The society mostly has to accept it. So I guess the issues are on those lines that whether the society is evolved enough to kind of accept the same-sex marriages.
Okay, great. Thanks for clarification, Prince. I think Hashapriya, you had your hand raised and then you dropped. You want to go next? Or?
Yeah, I almost had the same questions you had, Raghav, about the like. I know it's tough to frame these laws covering so many aspects. I can expand on the
Sure, go ahead. Go ahead,
aspects
please,
that,
please. Yeah.
yeah, marriage covers. So mainly it is the social aspect which Prince rightly mentioned about the social acceptance, and there is this moral aspect where it is about the individual right. I mean, even if you look at the constitution, there is this article 20. It's about right to personal life and liberty. So even Supreme Court
Hashapriya, your
has,
voice is like lowering. Can you bring the mic closer?
yeah.
Keep it steady. Yeah. Yeah.
Is it better now?
Yeah, it's better now.
Yeah, so even according to the constitution, the Supreme Court has actually ruled that right to marry uh, is a personal choice, and it has to be upheld in heterosexual marriages earlier. So that's why I think even homosexual couples had challenged this in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court was actually in favor of homosexual relationships. But the problem comes in the marriage part, right? Where it comes about the responsibilities, the accountability of partners to each other, and then there is financial problems. How do the couples deal these finances, and there is the responsibility of the child. So all of these were the problems we need to overcome. So in my opinion, I do support the statement where homosexual marriages should be legalized, because uh, I would say that I mean, I don't really see apart from these you know the challenges that are there. I don't see any other reason where we need to not legalize these marriages. So that's what, in my opinion, I mean, these are the challenges, but then we can overcome, right? Like even in the beginning, when we are defining laws for marriage, a normal, like the heterosexual marriage, they would have had all of these challenges, and then they made laws according to this, right? So why not now?
Okay, thanks, Harshpriya. Muskan, go ahead.
Okay, so I think when we talk about homosexual marriages, then this topic seems to be a bit off than the notion of common marriages that we have, that is union of two people of opposite sex coming together. And also, somewhere in India, it is against seen as an against the concept of family that we have, that is a biological woman and biological man and having a child. Uh, Very rightly said that there are many legal challenges when it comes to approval of homosexual marriages, like the adoption policy of the children. And then we have how some it may lead to violation of some of the personal laws like domestic violence, how those acts will be implemented in these cases. And if I talk about some of the codified laws like ceremonial or what are the ritual requirements that would be there when it comes to homosexual marriages, and there's no legislative framework that we have had yet in the parliament according to like how homosexual marriages should be guided or how can we recognize them. And when Harshpriya said that it's Article 21 or 19 that says right to life, but I think that there's no implicit approval of marriages and right to life here. They have the right of relationship, that is decriminalization of Section 377. So according to that, they can live with the partner whom they want to, but the when it comes to marriages, it has to be a very properly, I think, framed legally, and also in the society there has to be acceptance, which is not very common seen in the Indian society as per the concepts that we have been following with the terms family and with the terms marriages.
Okay, thank you so much, Muskan. Swagat, go ahead.
Hi Raghav, good morning.
Good morning.
It is my first time actually. So let me introduce myself. My name is Swagat. I reside in Mumbai.
Swagat, just before you proceed, this session is being recorded. I don't know if you value your anonymity or something. We are going to be posting this recording on YouTube. I don't know how much information you want to give about yourself before you share your perspective, because these are sensitive topics. I just want to add it as a disclaimer. Um, Before you, that's why I'm sharing my screen so that nobody gets to know who's talking and who's saying what. So with that said, please go ahead.
All right, no problem. I will directly come to the point. So according to me, so same-sex marriage should be legalized as per the Indian Constitution Act. Everyone has to right to live their life, and everyone has to make a choice to their life is no matter what, whether it's come to the marriages, whether it's come to the life, or whether it's come to the livingness with people. So for myself and according to me, it should be legalized. And according to the 377 Act, same-sex marriage should be legalized, I think so. In the USA also it should be legalized, and in India also there are people who are getting married with the same sex. So according to me, it should be legalized in future.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Swagat. Samat, go ahead.
Right. So I take the position that gay marriage should not be legalized.
Okay.
I think so because in any society that values human flourishing, uh, the acceptance of gay marriage, it leads to relationships in that society between the sexes. It will get deteriorated. That is my position. Right. First of all, I would like to say a bit about what a marriage should be ideally. It should be a lifelong commitment between the partners to uplift each other in every way, and also it should be a relationship in which kids are begotten and raised in a nurturing environment. So I think these two aspects of a marriage. These are like mutually reinforcing and inseparable. And obviously, in gay couples, one of these objectives cannot be realized, and hence the purpose of marriage itself, it cannot be realized.
Okay, Samar, just a quick question to clarify your stance. Like, would you say that it's impossible for a homosexual couple to adopt a child and raise them in a nurturing environment, like you mentioned?
Right. So, that can be done, for them to adopt the kids and raise in nursing environment. But even, see, the kind of relationship, what I'm trying to say is the kind of relationship that a gay couple will be having, any gay couple will be having, no matter how committed they are or how less committed they are, it cannot reach uh, the situation of a heterosexual couple in a committed marriage. So that is why marriage rights should be exclusively given to straight couples.
But in what dimension? When you say that it cannot reach the state of a heterosexual couple, right? What do you mean? In which aspect are you saying it like that?
Right. So what happens is, for that one, we'll have to get a bit into what human sexuality is and what it is for, and the processes of human sexuality. I would say, and it's not just me, uh, the opinion of various cultures across time and place, it has been of the opinion that human sexuality is for dual purposes. It is both for uh, the physical pleasure and emotional satisfaction, as well as for procreation. And decoupling one for the other, it in the long term negates uh, the the emotional satisfaction and the human flourishing, and that is why it leads to deterioration in the individual's character, and by extension the society in general.
Right. Thank you so much for clarifying, Samar. Harshpriya, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question for Samar that he was talking about human flourishing and the procreation part, right? So according to this, we should be making even the couples who do not want to have a child, or the couples who are infertile, or something, or other problems they have because they could not bear a child, so those should be illegalized, is it? Like, I mean, we should not make them legal, uh, if that is the only concern. And about the emotional satisfaction part, I think the people are going into the relationship itself, uh, not looking at the, whether they are of same gender or different gender, is could be mainly because of the emotional part as well. It's not only the physical pleasure part, right? So I think, yeah, that is my stance on that.
Thanks, Harshpriya. Samar, do you want to respond to that?
Sure. So what I'll say is, all of these arguments, the first thing is, the environment in which these proponents for the gay marriage, they are advancing their arguments. It is being done in a climate of sexual liberalization, and not it wasn't advanced during the earlier days, during the time of where the sexual mores were conservative. So, so the very fact that we are having this debate, it shows that people are valuing commitment less, and the physical pleasure and the, just the general self-satisfaction more, and not the concern for the kids or the larger society. That is like kind of obvious. uh, the, that the very fact that we're having this debate, it is in this environment, and that is why any claims for that the majority of the people have, that they actually intend for like a committed and long-lasting relationship, where both the partners they can be uplifted, that can be called into question. But let's suppose the minority of the people, the gay couple, who are actually interested in having this sort of lifelong commitment. Well, as I said, even in their case, due to the reason I mentioned earlier, the reproduction part, it being decoupled from the physical pleasure and the emotional satisfaction part, that in itself, like, it is not beneficial in the long term for the individuals involved as well as the larger society. Now, coming to the specific question of like whether the what about the straight couples who like intentionally avoid having kids? Well, I would say it is their choice. It might not be the right choice, the moral choice, but it is their choice, and they have the biological capacity with them to have the kids. Let's say up to a certain age. So that is why they should be given the right to marriage.
Are you saying that it's morally obligated for straight couple to have kids? Just to clarify.
Right. So I think it's like morally obligated, but not legally. So
Oh, okay.
if you do not want to have kids, then you better lead a celibate life.
Okay.
Is what I'm saying.
But if you have like emotional needs, but you don't want to procreate, that should be looked down upon. So,
So if you have emotional needs that you can get from another person, you can get into a relationship other than marriage. But if you're gonna get into marriage, it should be for the dual purpose of emotional satisfaction as well as reproduction,
okay.
because these two aspects will be complementary, and one will be destroyed without the other.
Okay. Thanks for the clarification, Samadhi. Yeah, Prince, go ahead.
Yeah, on the same topic. So mostly in most of the societies, marriage is mostly associated with procreation because human resource is the most important resource available in the world. With the heterosexual couples, prima facie, it is considered that they are able to procreate and they might procreate. Now, due to some medical constraints and physical issues, they might choose not to, or it might not be possible, or it's their personal choice. But when it comes to homosexual couples, um, uh, the prima facie situation directly changed. We are not able to procreate, of course, with medical ways, medical methods, they can, like surrogacy pointed out by previous speakers. But marriage is the institution where you are directly inviting the society to kind of get indulged. You are getting into the societal realm. Now, if there is no societal acceptance of these kind of marriages, then what is the future like to these people? Won't they face mental harassment? The couple face mental harassment by the society directly or indirectly. Let's say if they adopt a child or they have a child with surrogacy or other methods, then what would be the children's psyche? If there is no social acceptance in sorry, if there is no social acceptance in the society and he's being grown up and nourished by a homosexual couples, then won't he be very prone to bullying and harassment? Yeah, right.
But just to clarify, so the fact that you would be bullied should make you do something else. So you're suggesting that we should do something because there is stigma, like because instead of doing the right thing, what you would say is the right thing.
I would say the right thing would be to, for now, uh, but as the government has rightly done, abrogate the Section 377 and allow them to have a relationship. And in the meantime, what the government and the non-governmental organizations could do is create an awareness amongst the society that it is perfectly fine for a homosexual couple to marry or have a social life, so that societal acceptance can come, and then the doors to marriage and other things might open up.
Okay, understood. Thanks. I think somebody. Okay. Okay. I think Samath had the same point. All right.
I would just add that I am like in principle opposed to this marriage, and it won't depend upon the societal conditions, like whether the society is more tolerating or less tolerating, whether the individuals, these non-conventional couples or the kids adopted by them are more prone to bullying or less prone to bullying. I think we should live in a society where all people should be like accepted and not bullied, uh, but still like in any kind of society or in any time or place, I think this should be not allowed because it goes against what humans are and what human sexuality is for.
Okay. Thanks, Samath. Muskan, go ahead.
Okay. So, Raghav, you mentioned that only because there is societal stigma about it, and that is why they should not go for having a child. It's not only about, I think, not only about the social stigma, but also how insecure I think the child would also feel after some time when he goes out and when he sends all those harassment and a social unacceptance of him in the society. Another point is that I feel that maybe for a child to be raised up properly, not talking about the exceptions, like we of course have single parents handling the child, but it's very important that we have the feminine as well as the masculine uh, character, or maybe that side that the child, the love from them, or the care, or the feminine character and the masculine character growing up the child in the society. So I think somewhere that would be missing if a heterosexual couple, if a homosexual couple decides to have a child and maybe go with adoption policies.
Okay. Just to clarify, right, Muskan, I think a lot of people would say that, this feminine and masculine, this actually is a separate debate topic, in my opinion. That, how tightly coupled is these like masculine, feminine characteristics is to your biological sex. So the assumption that I'm seeing that you make is that you're saying that a man cannot be feminine or a woman cannot be masculine, right?
I think that every human being, even if it's a man or but like the biological sexes, they have these two characteristics in them. But when it comes to raising up and like how acceptable that would be from the child side itself, if they are to be having a parents who are both of the same like sexes, and maybe they would miss that aspects of feminism and that masculine character. This is what I meant.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Muskan. Harshpriya?
Yeah. So I partly agree with Muskan's statement about the biological needs of the child while he's growing up. He might need a support of mother or that part. I might slightly agree, but the point where I disagree a little bit is about the, I think Samarth mentioned that it is the moral obligation of the heterosexual couples to have a child, right? So, okay, I think this moral aspect can be from different perspectives, right? I can say that when the homosexual couples, since they cannot procreate, they are adopting a child who is an orphan or something, someone who do not have parents. So that could also be a moral aspect, right? Like they are not just generating, more humans. They are taking care of who is abandoned or who is an orphan. So that can also be considered as a moral aspect, right? That could also, like, we can say that is morally right. So what's wrong with that?
Yeah, that's a great point. And I see some of you haven't said anything. If you are
Hey,
yeah,
the last point, can you summarize again, please?
yeah, Harshpriya,
About the moral aspect, right? Yeah. So, I think Samar mentioned about the cultural aspects of procreation, like earlier, also, the social norms were that it is morally right for a couple, a heterosexual couple, to procreate and generate children for the, so that human race could stay for many years. So my point is, we are saying that as morally right, but why not? We are saying since homosexual couples are adopting a child, right? They're taking care of an orphan. That could also be morally right thing to do, right? So why we can consider that perspective as well. So that was my point. I hope it was clear.
Yeah. Thanks, Ashwini. Samat, go ahead.
Right. So it is not at all clear that not having kids of your own and adopting kids, some other couple's kids is like the morally right thing to do, because since according to the previous speaker, like the earth is now like overpopulated. So that is like a separate discussion in itself. So I am not sure like how many people this earth can sustain reliably. It all depends upon many factors such as the current fertility rate, whether it is it's too much or too high, or what the consumption, the average consumption by each individual is going to be. But I would just object to saying that the moral thing to do right now is not to have kids and already adopt somebody else's kids. So that's the first point. And the next point is like, uh, what about like gay couples adopting kids? And before even that, I would like to clarify that the reason I object, uh, the reason that I say that procreation is important is not because like it's not only because that the human race has got to survive, and it would not do good for humans just to recreate and not procreate. Uh, uh, the reason that I say that procreation is important because the aspects of the sex, the recreation and both the procreation, it has got to go hand in hand. And if you do not have the procreative aspect, what you will be left with is like only the recreational aspect, which in the longer term will turn individual humans into hedonistic and self-serving creatures. And the society, which is the aggregate of these people, that will also turn out to be hedonistic and self-serving. So that is the primary reason that I say that these two have got to go hand in hand, and not just because procreation is necessary for the human race to continue. And for the other aspect, the other argument that uh, yeah, so that answers the question posed previously, I hope.
Yeah. Thanks, Samat. Saju, go ahead.
I think most, I think we have across the board, everybody here agrees that um gay marriage, uh, marriage of homosexuals should be allowed. There are differences in whether they should be allowed to have children.
No,
There
no,
are
no.
differences.
I think, Saju, you just joined. There have been a lot of people who are saying that they should not be allowed. Just to clarify.
Yeah, but when the people say they should not be allowed, their basic argument is they should not be allowed to have children.
No, 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 it's not. It's not.
Right?
I'm telling you. There's been
Okay.
various other arguments being made, but yeah, you go ahead with your point.
Okay. Yeah. No, I just wanted to clarify that whether that's the argument or not. Okay. Thanks. Yeah. I'll speak later.
Yeah, it's a little more complicated than that. People have, I think, there have been a couple of people who had very strong points about this. Prince, go ahead.
Yeah, regarding the adoption and the moral part, yeah, adoption is morally the right thing to do, but my view is a bit different. Reproduction is not a moral duty; it is responsibility for the sustainability of the race, of the human race, more specifically. Because although we see the numbers growing in the number of humans on Earth, but it does not take more than 100 years for the whole civilization to collapse, or the population to half, as evident to the examples of South Korea, Japan, China, etc. And Regarding the previous speakers, yes, it is more or less unanimous. I guess we are copying the Supreme Court and we are unanimously deciding on one topic.
But if you look at the poly, right, we have you know, like a higher proportion of people saying they want same-sex marriage should be legalized, but um, maybe they can be more vocal about it.
Definitely.
Yeah, I want everybody to feel safe and comfortable sharing their perspective. So whoever said yes, it should be legalized, maybe you can pose your argument for that.
Yeah, I can put forward my argument.
Sure.
And this is Saju.
This is the what?
Okay, see, the there was some. If everybody has seen this movie called Milk, M-I-L-K, Milk. It's about a guy who is fighting for this very topic. Um, the fight went on for around 30 years, and he became a politician and all that. And he won the battle, and he brought in regulations to legalize homosexuality in the US, in California. And then after he became a member of the parliament. After a year, he was shot dead. Okay,
Right.
that is the crazy level of differences that exist between among the people, and it's because of the way different people have different ideas about marriage itself. You know why people get married? We get married because of love, right? We love each other. That's why we get married. We don't get married to procreate and further the society, or because we want to have children, right? And there is no, even in our society there was problems not too long back, wherein women who are having children without getting married were looked down upon. Men who are having children without getting married were looked down upon. And now that is slowly changing, right? So the basic human nature is to take care of young ones, and the love for one another is not restricted to gender. So if there is love, there will be marriage, right? Whether the concept of marriage is transcending beyond the uh, legal or document of authorization that you are married to the other person and things like that, and that is different. So if you look at it that way, you will agree about uh, folks getting married. So I mean, that way, if you look at it, you will agree with me. But a few things, Raghav, can you? I'm sorry to ask you this question. If it's effort, if it's an effort for you, then you can leave it. Can you just summarize the points that why people are against it and why people are up for it? And you can.
Against people have said that there are legal challenges to enforcing this. I think one of the points that somebody made was the fact that when you propose a law, it has to be in alignment with the social norms, and because like the laws are to protect the society, and when you go against the like a large majority, right, then there is a certain unintended consequences, challenges, and things like that. That was one point that was made against the whole thing. And again, the procreation, the moral aspect of things, and social acceptance is not yet. Those are some of the things that were made against this thing. And even for example, in the case that you gave about in the Milk movie, right? Like, so this person does the thing and he's passing and he's openly coming out as a gay and he's happily married, but then he gets shot because society is not ready for it yet. So that was one uh, point made against legalization of same-sex marriages. I hope that
See,
summarizes it.
I just want to say two lines, okay? Then I'll stop.
Yeah.
See, legal things and legal values and legal rules are crafted by human beings sitting in a parliament and advised by the society as per the wants and needs of the society. It's not legality and laws are not deemed by Mother Nature. They are deemed by human society. So it is something that you and I can change. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Nishant, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Raghav, for allowing me. Okay, I would like to talk on two, three pointers. What Saju made actually, it's apology, I joined late, so I don't know about the points raised by others, but what I understand from Saju's points, I would like to counter them. So basically, what I understand as Saju is saying is, marriage is just because of we love each other. That's why we do marriage, and not for the childrens to go ahead or generation to go ahead. So for that point, I would like to counter as it is the nature's law. It's not the it's one part. It is constitution law or legal law, but it is the nature's law as marriage itself or the two types of human beings in themselves created by nature as male and female to pass on or to continue the generation. So we can't say. I mean, this would not be the valid point. I feel so, as marriage is just to love each other, but not the generation to produce ahead. So that's one point. The second point, what I understand from Saju was saying as he was saying as it should be, I mean, short dead to that. I mean, the story of the respective person. So short dead was happened for Mr. Mahatma Gandhi ji also. So I don't think so. As short dead would be the betrayal completely from the society. So that point, I mean, we should not take as uh, any I can say emotional point towards this. Now I come to the my view towards the homosexual marriages. Uh, so see, everybody have their equal rights as per our constitution. So we should not say as I mean, to like somebody there should be any rule. I don't think so. Or love somebody there should be rule. There is no law to love somebody or to hate somebody or to be in touch with somebody. There should be have any law or any legal statements. Yeah, but if it is going to the legal state as a marriage, then I would say I mean, partially it is not correct. Why I'm saying that? Because see, marriage ultimately is the we can say really partially a religious thing, and religiously if you are really love each other or you want to stay with each other, it is not required to have marriage. That's what I feel. Why marriage? That basically that marriage terminology was created, we need to understand that it was because if uh, with any man and woman any sexual relation will happen, that sexual relation should be agreed by the society. That's why marriage was created. That terminology, basically the thinking behind the great people to create this word or uh, this thing, marriage, because of this, as someone should not get pressurized or someone should not get any blames to have the sexual relation between men and women. That's why marriage was created.
Thank you.
And the next point, very next point is somebody raised the point as I mean there are um I mean orphans are getting adopted. That adoption is getting happen, and uh, is good thing related to home. I mean the marriages, the homosexual marriages. I think. it is I mean, please don't take me word to word, but that's what came in my mind uh, uh, to share my feeling or my thoughts, as it is the way out basically. Why I'm saying way out? Because there is no other chance to them to produce kids, right? So that's why they are adopting them. It is good. I'm not saying it is bad. It is absolutely good. But that would not be the counter statement to allow the homosexual marriage. Uh, yeah, that's what my point was. Thanks for
Thanks,
listening.
Tushar. Yeah, Samat, go ahead, please.
Right. So now, as one of the previous one of the themes that has been touched upon is like what justifies a law or how a law should be made. Like, and some people were of the opinion that a law is just or unjust depending upon whether the majority of the people in a given society at that given time they agree or disagree, and that is the like the entirety of the law, whether it's being right or wrong. So I would take a serious objection to that one. I think there are like universal principles and eternal principles that can be uh, observed by any rational human being, and the ethics can be derived from those principles. And to judge whether a given law is moral or immoral, we have to compare it with the ethics derived from such universal and eternal principles. So let's say in some society tomorrow they will just say, the majority of the people will agree and say that rape is not rape should be legalized or it should be illegalized. So that doesn't make, although conventionally that makes rape legal in that society, it would still be immoral according to these principles. So what it just shows is, in that particular society, the moral quality has degraded, and people are not able to discern right from wrong. So I would also say that whether this particular topic of whether gay marriage should be legal or illegal, it should not just depend upon whether the majority of the people in a given society they agree at a given point of time, but also whether it conforms to these larger principles. And I would say that any rational person, if we observe what humans are and what is humans' relationship to the world, he or she can conclude that any relationship related to the sex that is done outside of a long-lasting commitment, and that is done without the purpose of procreation, it will be degrading to that particular human, and I mean to the couple involved, and also to the society at large. And these observations can be made by any rational person without any quoting any scripture. You do not have to belong to this or that religion or believe in this or that scripture. You can just use your reason and observe the world and see how the world is and see what is most good for human flourishing, and then conclude that there are these eternal principles, and the quality of your life will be based on your adherence, whether it is closely or not so closely to these eternal principles. So I do have like a different conception of what makes a law, what makes a given law justified, or a given, yeah. So I have that different conception.
Thanks, Samat. Muskan, go ahead. Muskan, you're on mute.
Yes, Raghav. Okay, so Saju made a point that that it is the mother nature that has decided that these people should be maybe the marriages of homosexual people should be legalized. So my point here is that definitely it is the mother nature that has given such maybe hormonal differences that are not very much acceptable by the people in the society. But when we talk about the question that should it be legalized, then we have to see it from the legal perspective. And then it was the point that I made that there are many legal challenges that are to be faced, because court has not denied them the right to live in such a relationship, and they have even protected them against any discrimination that they may face while living together. They have also been given all the rights and access to other goods and services that the common public would get. And when Nishant said that marriages, that when two people are in love, it's not that marriage is important, but marriage, the concept of marriage not only originated that they give an approval to your sexual relationship, but also that to create a social order or discipline in the society, and to make people provoke to have only a single partner throughout their life. So this was also somewhere a purpose when marriage concept came into the society. And Samarth had an objection with this, that like the legal provisions should not be guided by what people in the society as a majority think. You are very much right. But when it comes to, again, the same point that the right to live in such a relationship is not being denied. And when we talk about legal challenges, there are a lot of changes. Like, we do not have any marriage act that would govern these people. We have Hindu Marriages Act, Christian Marriage Act, Special Marriages Act are there. And then there would be a problem with inheritance of the property. There would be a problem with Domestic Violence Act, how these acts will be implemented. So from a legal perspective, it becomes a very challenging thing, and not from a like how society are guiding the legal provisions, but from the legal provisions itself, it's a big challenge. So that was the point made earlier when the question was disagreed that no, it should not be legalized.
Thanks, Muskan. Please.
Yeah. So first of all, regarding the love and marriage part, uh, yes, he rightly pointed out that some of us might marry because we love each other, but we need to go into the historical part that why marriage as an institution began. Now, I'll point out why I'm calling it an institution. When the hunter-gatherer phase was going on, then there was no institution known as marriage. But when these hunter-gatherers started settling down into a more agrarian civilization, then the society needed more stable arrangements for the society to work in. That's why marriage as an institution. Yes, if we love someone, then we do marry. Uh, it's not necessary. If we love someone, then we can go into a relationship as well. If we love someone, then we can stay in a live-in relationship with them as well. And live-in relationships are given equal legal rights as a proper marriage in India. Because although in India it is considered that marriage is the only solution, but marriage is just an institution, it's a contract. No matter which religious organization we look at. If we see into Hinduism, it is the seven vows. If we look into Christianity, you take vow before marrying on the day of marriage. Uh, in Islam, the word nikah, the literal meaning is contract. So, marriage is just an institution. Now, regarding the ethics part, that it should be made a law because it is universal or eternal. But ethics are not universal. Ethics are societal. And even if we take into the consideration that ethics are universal, then the majority of the nations does not allow for homosexual marriages. Only 35 countries have legalized homosexual marriages out of about 200 countries. Uh, because we live in a democracy. Laws for a law to be applicable, majority of the people in the community on which it is applicable shall agree. That is democracy. And if it is not so that the people are happy with it, then we have seen the examples of the farmers' protest. the farmers came down, protested, and the law was shut down. The law was shut down because it was not agreed by the majority of the population upon whom it was to be imposed. So, yeah, when it comes to legal part, as rightly pointed out by the previous speaker, uh, a lot of legal issues and things like that might be taken into account as we have from the beginning of the debate. Yeah, Raghav.
All right, thanks, Prince. Yeah, Harshapriya, go ahead.
Yeah, I had a point regarding I see that most like few people are agreeing with uh homosexual relationships. They're okay with it. But then when they're saying that when you are free to have relationships, then what's the problem? Why do you want to have the marriage as like why do you want to have the certificate or something? But I think in India, marriage has a enormous value. I think those people also pointed out these points as well. But my point is, if a person loves other if two people love each other, what's wrong if they want their properties and when after they die or something? What's wrong if they want to transfer their properties to their partner? Right now, according to the law, I think there is some gift tax or something if we transfer properties to other people other than our family members. They have to pay some gift tax and all. So what's wrong if I want to share my financial uh burden with them? Or what's wrong if I get the social approval from everyone and the legal approval as well? So yeah.
Good. I think Nishant,
Yeah, I just want to counter Harsha Priya just now said. As I mean, what I understand her point, 2 point she made as one, if relation is agreed, then why not marriage? And second, what is the issues to transfer the financial uh, belongings or properties with the partner who is from the as homosexual partner basically. So for both these 2 points, first I take the property related thing. So as per our law, I don't think there should be marriage is required to transfer any financial beings or property to anybody. You can do that respective financial, I mean, the legal document to transfer the property to the required person. It's not required you should be married with that person or you should be in relation with that person. Any kind of, not only marriage. So that point I just wanted to clear out. The second point she raised as why marriage, why not marriage if it is in relationship, and why not get approval from the society for marriage. So it is again from the legal aspect or from the, I can say, religion aspect only, both aspects actually. From legal aspect, I will take first, as it is as per our constitution, as per our law, Indian law, uh, to like someone, to love someone, to be with someone is not the nobody can question on that or nobody can force on that. So from the legal aspect is that. But for the marriage, as someone raised the good point, as from the legal perspective, as there is marriage uh, marriage criteria in our Indian law. It is mentioned. So if that criteria is not matching, then obviously it is legally should not be go ahead. And the second point from the religion or from the emotional perspective, I can say, if emotionally you want to be with each other, then why you require marriage? Ideally, uh, in our India, or not in India, anywhere all over the world, wherever we are living, uh, if that respective country is democratic country, then somebody raised good point as it should be agreed by majority of people. if 10 peoples are there in India, and if 7 people do not want, they are not comfortable with it, then obviously rest 3 people have to agree with that, even though they like or do not like. So that is the point. I mean, it is not getting approved or it is not getting allowed. So if, yeah, ultimately going forward, if 7 guys would be agreed with this, then have to have those 3 guys should be agree on that. So because of that, it is not getting for homosexual marriage.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Nishant.
yeah.
Yeah, Samat, go ahead.
Thank you.
Right. If some people are arguing that what makes a law just or unjust is just that whether the majority of the people in a given society they agree or disagree with that one, then those people are not like thinking through the implications of such a notion. So let's say tomorrow in Pakistan they make like the majority of the people agree that heinous crimes such as sexual harassment that should be allowed. What would we have to? What would we have to object? You know, such a decision. Are we going to say that since majority of the people in that country they agree for that one, hence that law is justified? So what I'm trying to say is like laws exist and they may be just or unjust, depending upon whether they uh, converge with this universal moral principles is what I'm saying. As Gandhi, to quote Gandhi, he himself said, there are unjust laws as there are unjust people. So just because like in a given time and the laws are brought about by this democratic legislative or judicial process, that in itself, I don't think it makes the law just. It might be legal, but it might not be just. And tomorrow, if in India this gay marriage it becomes legal, yeah, it would be legal, but it would be morally unjust. So again, we are coming back to this point, like uh, uh, the question that is being repeatedly asked is if two people are in love and they're committed to a lasting relationship, why not let them marry? Whether they are straight or gay, they should be given that option. So again, I would say like if you
Samat, your voice is
look at
getting very low. Can you
No.
come closer to the mic?
how about now?
Yeah, now it's better. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is like any relationship which where sex takes place, which does not have in its purpose to have to procreate, that is necessarily immoral, and that is why such a relationship should not be given legal recognition. So to understand why such a thing would be immoral, like if you just look at how people are and and what human sexuality is, I'll just get down into the details a bit. So in any sexual act, there is this intent to there is this, you can say, there is an intention and there is the consequence of that sexual act. So the intention, it would normally be to have physical pleasure and to gain like emotional satisfaction. That is the intent. And you can also say that these two will be the consequence of sexual act: to gain physical pleasure as well as emotional satisfaction. But then it is also a curious fact about humans that uh, if you actually approach a relationship where you're focused towards the other person's uh, pleasure and emotional satisfaction, that will be rather than your own, that will be that will result in a good relationship, and for the both the people in that relationship to develop as mature individuals. So I would say that that thing is realized only in heterosexual marriage. because the one consequence of heterosexual marriage, which is not available to gay couples, is having kids. And just the act of having kids, that itself, it gives you a sense of responsibility, and it just imbues the sexual act with a significance and a responsibility which is not available to gay couples. So the sexual act itself is fundamentally different in these two kinds of people. And that will result in, since this act itself, it is imbued with responsibility and a greater significance, it will make the intent of the people having in engaging in such a sex more, they will be more inclined towards the pleasure of the other person and the consequence of the larger society and the welfare of the child. So all of these things are taken into consideration, whereas uh, any other sort of relationship, even if it is like a long-lasting and committed relationship, what will eventually happen is it will devolve into just self-satisfying and hedonistic pleasures, when this opportunity to have kids is not at all available in the sexual act. So that is the fundamental difference which makes one act moral and the other immoral. And you can observe this phenomenon even among heterosexual couples who intentionally choose to not have kids, or people who are in casual relationships. The very sexual act that these people engage in, it is stripped of its significance and responsibility. And eventually, what will happen is, as I said, these people degenerating into hedonistic and self-serving people. Whereas, you know, uh, that is not the case if your intention with sex is both recreation and procreation. Yeah. So I would say that this is what qualifies or distinguishes immoral and moral sexual acts, and only the moral ones, it needs to be legally recognized.
All right. Thanks, Samad. Yeah, Muskan, go ahead.
Okay, so there was a question raised that why there can't be law for property inheritance for such couples. So my question is, even if such legal complexity is solved, then there's always a thing that comes in is the question of suspiciousness. That is, how can it be governed that whether a person actually has what gender inclination a person has? The government cannot, like, we cannot, no one can determine that. And maybe the people are just to take the benefits from some laws, they are just posing in front of the society that they have such a gender inclination, and after that they separate, or they are not maybe into the same relationship. So that can also be, I think, a negative side of having such special legal provisions of property inheritance and other laws to govern their marriage.
Good. Thanks, Muskan. Prince?
Yeah. So first on the inheritance part. Yeah, the gift part was exempted from tax for a lot of time. It has came under the scope or radar of taxation, I guess in 2014 or 2024. I'm forgetting that. But the main reason for it to be reapplied was the issue of tax evasion. Now, since the topic is not that, I will not go much into that detail. The laws part. So, if a majority of a community in a nation does think a law to be morally and ethically correct, then there are two aspects. First, there might be some laws that we may say, okay, it's a bit weird, like the example of Pakistan was brought up. So, no citizen can eat anything in public during Ramadan, and it can lead up to 6 months in jail. Of course, we can't interfere in their personal matters. It's their internal issue. They're a sovereign nation. They're free to do so. But The other aspect is that the government is there to make sure that no law shall be passed that kind of makes the other party kind of in a negative or in a less viewed way. Now, I guess the point of rape was brought up. So, uh, if we kind of legalize that, then half of the population is not going to support it. 50% is women. Uh, but in this case, it even the government says that homosexual marriages does not feel that it can work with, of course, the current societal issue. Now, someone pointed out about the universal values. I fear, my friend, that if universal values are to be pointed out, then what are universal values? If you are going to point out that international laws are the universal values, then there is a huge question mark on the UN and its effectiveness. So I guess laws and values are more related to societies. Different societies subscribe to different values and morals with respect to their current evolutionary status, and it's perfectly fine as long as it is not kind of harming the interests of other people. Yeah.
Thanks. Nishant, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, so if I'm not wrong, Summer raised these pointers as sexual morality, as it should be sexual moral, whatever the relation is, and he sentenced one point as homosexual relation is not sexual moral. So, first of all, on this, definitely I am against the homosexual marriages, but I don't think this should be the right way of thinking. I'm sorry for that, but I don't think this is the right thinking towards sexual morality. What should be the definition for the morality? He has given one definition for the sexual morality. If I take it correctly, then what I understand is sexually satisfaction to the other partner instead of self, as well as the responsibility towards the relation life. Uh, so I don't think so. On this point, I don't think so as sexual satisfaction in homosexuality, any person or any being is only thinking for self. He or she is also thinking for their partner. We are nobody to decide that uh, mentally as what they think from the satisfaction perspective. And second point he said as responsibility, and he said on the responsibility point he said about a child and to develop them, to give birth to them. So this is from the morality perspective. I don't think so on this point also, because if morality is just to give the birth to the child, then I don't think this should be the right statement from the sexual morality perspective or any marriage morality perspective. It is right for that child who has given the birth from a mother and father. It is right for that child to develop him, to take care of him or her. So it should not be the morality perspective, and rather I would say homosexual partners, they are actually adopting the child who who have to the child to whom their biological mother father refused, like anything. I mean, it very badly. So they are rather more moral from this perspective, I can say. Second point, he said he given one example as from the majority decision as to Pakistan topic. I'm not recollecting exact one, but what I understand, it is the legally not allowed that kind of thing was allowing in Pakistan due to majority. So definitely we need to understand here, it is not the just going blindly from the majority perspective, but it is the majority from the society well-being perspective. So this homosexual marriages is majority decision from the society well-being. Pakistan, that terrorist act and all those things was not socially well-being acts, which was agreed majoritarily. So it was actually, it is not at all question to compare these 2 points over here. Yeah, thanks, Madhav.
Thanks, Rishabh. HP, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure talking to everybody and hearing everyone. I'm not for or pro, but I would like to talk about the current situation, the current state of the country, where we can not think about of these kinds of things, or these kinds of situation scenarios, especially being a right leaning government in the center from past 10 years and maybe for next 5 more years as poll predictions go. So as far as thinking about all this in our cozy rooms, we're saying that gay marriages can be legalized, and I think it's a very far and distant future. If you're comparing ourselves with other countries, maybe European countries or America, so we are very culturally bound country. We are not a population that's living in rural areas, urban areas. We're not. Everybody is not living in Mumbai, Pune, and other 7 metropolitan cities. So, taking in account uh, religious sentiments, taking in account the current situation where people from villages react to small things, we have other issues. We have deep caste issues. We have deep down religious issues going up in current times. I think it's a very, very distant future, and legalizing it. And somebody I was hearing was saying farm laws were repealed. I don't think they know the actual circumstances that went beyond that whole agitation. If you may know, it was a big 1.5 year, 1 year long protest, and there's a whole machinery, a whole Punjab state government sponsoring them, the whole 3 MPs from Akali Dal resigning the government and taking the support. The NDA got broken up. Akali Dal left the government. So all that pressure did that. And in the same time, if you just notice, there was a big agitation against Uniform Civil Code, also UCC, done by Muslims, Shaheen Bagh and everything. And that was a bigger agitation than that. But it wasn't repealed. So you need to know, if there's a right-leaning government sitting at center, and you are even in fact, if you talk about Article 377 that was passed during Congress's time, same article was given a referendum in this Rajasthan Assembly. So once Rajasthan government floated it, the bill got pulled down. Even it had Congress government in Rajasthan that time. We had Congress government in Rajasthan that time. So we need to know it's not that easy. In fact, because the sentiment was pro-right throughout the country, it became very difficult for the Rajasthan Congress government to also pass the bill. So it all depends on the sentiment and current situation and the current track record through which we're moving ahead. We're moving very well in other sectors, maybe financially, maybe in stock markets, maybe a little less in jobs. But this looks like a very far future, and especially in a country like ours where marriages are celebrated, where you might miss a funeral of a person, but you cannot miss his marriage. So in a situation where you have 1,000 guests, 2,000 guests coming to a marriage, and everybody knows who's married to who, kiske, which section or which sect, is it intermarriage, caste, is it inter religion, or is it an arranged marriage or a love marriage? We're stuck in that loop. So talking about these people who are very few, We're talking about minorities. We have 15, 20 crore Muslims living in the country. We have 5, 6 crore Sikhs living in the country, and they, on every platform and occasion, raise voices on their own that we are not being represented equally. There are not that many number of Sikhs or Muslims or other Dalits in the spectrum of bureaucracy or parliament. So, looking at all that, it's very difficult. I don't think we'll have even 4 or 5 openly gay these member of parliaments even in next 5 years. In fact, look at the current situation where BJP filed all 440 MPs. There's not a single gay, lesbian member of parliament they have put for this election also. So these are very good in theories, and this is very, what you say, thought-provoking. But unfortunately, we live in different. India changes every 20, 20, 30, 30 kilometers. We, whenever a group of us, we call ourselves intellectuals, we sit in these cozy places in cities, discuss about all this. It looks like a possibility, but actually, if somebody is a homosexual and he's going through all these discriminations since childhood, I would not even dare to place myself in that person's shoes, thinking, "Ke, what is going to happen to me if I married this?" If these people are disgusted with me only thinking that I'm a gay person. But what if I tell everybody, then I come out and tell everybody that I'm gay, then on that discrimination, I tell them, "Ki, I'm going to marry also." So if you plan and to marry someone in a situation, unless until you're from some South Mumbai, South Bangalore, South Delhi side, you live in a rural belt, you might need to relocate. You might need to hide your identity. You might need to live in some room and rent it out and tell him he's your roommate. That is what I think is going to happen for next 5 or 10 years. It's very less likely, very less. The probability is less than 2% of it getting legalized. It's good for discussion, but it's far from practicality. Thank you.
Thanks, HP. Yeah, Prince, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess a lot of points were pointed out by HP and great points. Uh, Firstly, yep, some might agree that there is a right-wing or right-leaning government in the center, but the topic for discussion today is related to the Supreme Court, which is considered by most left-leaning organization, and they unanimously decided that it should not have the homosexual relationship. The second point, CA part, yes, a lot of education went into CA as farmers protest, but it was not given importance because it has not anything to do with that. It was for the religious minority in the neighboring countries, and we had that moral responsibility due to the Nehru-Liaquat Pact that was kind of enforced on us. Bureaucracy part, yes, the most interesting. Uh, there is a huge representation of SC/ST caste. I guess you were referring to the OBC people. Uh, I don't know if you are aware, but to join the central services, you need to have at least 24 years of experience or more than that. But the main issue is 24 years before this, there was no category known as ABC for the recruitment of UPSC. So I don't think you can suddenly get OBC people with that respective category in the bureaucracy. It is not about right or left leaning. No one can deny that the societal values are important, the society is important. Section 377 was repealed on November 2022, which was under a quote unquote right wing government. The main course of discussion might be that how much has the society evolved? Is the society evolved enough to kind of accept those people? I don't think sexual or any other relationships have any issues because the Supreme Court has kind of directed the government as well to kind of make sure that no discrimination takes place. But the main roadblock comes in the marriage part because, as I pointed out earlier, marriage is not just between two individuals. It is an institution. It is a contract. A lot of ifs and buts going to legalizing the marriage. Yeah.
Thanks, Prince. Yeah, HP.
I would like to counter it big time. One, see, if you are talking in terms of sitting in shoes of people, so I don't think if anybody is openly gay here, or if anybody is gay, openly hiding it, that's a secondary topic. What we are trying to do is, as general public, we're trying to understand what would be the circumstances and situations these people are facing, and then we decide, or then we make our opinion whether we should stand for it or not. So on those terms and terminologies, grades are good. You need certain number of marks to be a bureaucrat, you need certain points to become an IAS, IPS officer, and at the same time you need certain attributes. That's definitely, their merit is there, but then again there is participation also. So if there are certain groups of people that come from slums, that haven't heard a word of English, that cannot sit in on this platform and talk and you understand what we're saying, so these people, you ask them and tell them, come and sit an exam and become an IS officer. They are starting in 1950s, where our great grandfather, if we would, I would have asked your grandfather to sit, or my grandfather to sit in the same exam or in the same vocab, maybe everybody is from a good background. Their great grandfathers and grandfathers also were good with education and everything. But then again, understand this, they're already starting behind the line. They're very far from the line. They're actually lagging. And then you tell them to sit on the reservation and quota and OBC STD is a very, I think, is a bigger topic than this, and it'll take more time. But similar way, if there is a person who has been harassed, who is weaker than us, say for example, I'll talk about this friend of mine who was speaking before me. So I asked him to grow a little bit of beard, keep a skull cap on his, like Muslims do, and just carry mutton, not beef. Mutton, chopped mutton in a vehicle openly from a rural belt and not get lynched. I don't think that's possible. I don't think that's even some that will be taking like Khatro Ke Khiladi type, or that will be a Red Bull ad that a person is doing that in current situation. So comparison and whataboutery, I don't think is the solution. Rather than thinking about everybody in from our own specs, we should think about them using their own these. And again, I think this was also said, case Supreme Court will pass. Supreme Court doesn't pass laws. It doesn't have that power to pass a law. Huh, it can decide on a law. So for example, I say rape is legal, and more than 272 MPs in the parliament say yes, it is legal. Then Supreme Court cannot give hang a person or sentence somebody to jail for raping, because it's a law. Now you can rape. So you should understand, Supreme Court has a binding. It's not something that can pass a law. It can say कि आज से gay marriages are legal. No, that needs to be passed in the parliament. Once the parliament passes it and it forms a bill and a law, then Supreme Court will take account of it. In our constitution, there will be certain reservations and certain acts combined to it, bureaucratic work and paperwork, whatever that is, and then the judges can work on it. A Supreme Court cannot unanimously, without any support, say that this, if there's already a law, this is fraud, and then the bill is not there, or then the law is not there introduced by the government, like what happened in electoral bonds. So the law said it is fraudery. So if that gets legalized by parliament, and parliament says ki who anybody can donate to anybody, it can be kept secret, and Supreme Court cannot intervene, then Supreme Court could not have intervened in it, because that was a law. So that's how the game works. So unless and until the law is there, it's passed by 272 MPs and 273 MPs in lower house Lok Sabha, and more than 150 MPs in Rajya Sabha, it is a distant future. Thank you.
And I just want to remind that we usually have these debates at 11 to 12:30, and we pass the 12:30 time. And I want usually after 12:30 we just have an open session where you don't have to raise your hand. You can just have an open conversation. But unfortunately today I cannot stay. I would like to invite somebody to volunteer who would like to host this session so that I can leave and we can continue the conversation. Who would like to volunteer for that?
I think everybody has made their points. If Nishant wants to add a point or anybody else, then we can decide.
No. Let's keep it
I
open
can
because
be a host rather than
okay. All right. I'm gonna make you the host. All right. Thanks, friends. I think Nishant, you can go ahead, and then people can open up. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I do completely agree with HP. As I mean, from the law perspective also, as well as he made some pointers initially, as how I mean, we should also emotionally think from their perspective, who are actually homosexual in homosexual relationship. So yeah, so from that point only, I am continuously saying, I think from the starting of this debate, as it is their rights, it is their constitutional as well as personal rights to be in relationship, whatever they in. So nobody
But
can force anybody to
one
love
side
anyone.
get married. We are open to discuss now, or we can raise hands similarly.
No,
I think we can
anyone
openly
can
discuss.
discuss.
My
Yeah, we can openly discuss.
complete.
I want to clarify this point between legality and society. Okay.
Hmm.
Uh, and I myself am not very knowledgeable about the two because I have not studied them in my college or otherwise. But what I've come to know is the the legal rules or the rules for behavior comes from the society, not the other way. The society doesn't come from the rules. It comes from the society creates the rules.
That is not. I might disagree. There are many people. There are many societies. You want, as far as India is concerned, it's a 140, 150 crore population people. Then, with all that amount of mighty majority, there are people in Mizoram. There are people in Nagaland. They eat beef. They eat dogs. They eat cats. They eat everything. The beef is eaten in Goa also. It's legal there. But then again, it's just next to it is Gujarat, it is Maharashtra. It's not legal in Maharashtra. Similarly, society and norms functioning at a national level with the 140 crore people is a very vague concept, because there can be a section of even 4 crore people practicing something that remaining 145 crore people don't like. But that doesn't mean that 4 crore people is not a society. 4 crore people is more than at least 100 countries population. That's a country in its own size. So I don't think, looking at everything, society as a whole, you cannot decide 140 crore, 150 crore people cannot be a society.
I'll give you a very
I
concrete
guess
example. People in Goa eat beef, but
Hmm.
that doesn't mean the people in Gujarat don't eat beef, even though there might be a rule.
But then again, society in Gujarat says beef eating is wrong. So then again, if they are found, they'll be tried, they'll be jailed, they can be killed. Chalo,
That is
lynching is
not true actually.
huh?
That is not true. For example, I'll give you a concrete example. No?
Okay.
In Gujarat, liquor is not allowed.
Okay.
Okay, but everybody drinks in Gujarat, and
Hmm.
nobody goes to jail.
Then again, exactly. If the liquor is going on, say in your party, and I know in your house you're doing a house party and people are drinking at your place, I'll just ring 112. I'll just send the police to your place. Will you be able to continue the party? Will police not seize your liquor? Will they not disturb your party? Will they not throw out the guests out of your place? And even when you're caught with liquor that is, let's say, officially banned in the place, you're saying you can be caught with the banned liquor and you won't be jailed. I don't think that's going to happen. And same
That is
goes
what is happening in
Yeah,
Gujarat.
Hmm.
I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree with HP,
Huh.
because there are we can't go from the as social. I mean, society does not become. I against this statement actually. Society becomes the law, and law does not become the society. I against this statement actually, because law is the law. For to create any law statement or for any section, every court, Supreme Court or in Parliament also, it should be think from 360 degree, and it used to be think from 360 degree, and not only from society perspective. It should be think from morally. It should be think from region wise. It should be from any I mean more the right or wrong grounds, as well as there are some the laws which are bind to create the new law. So all these things should be taken care before creating any rule
Just
or
just
section. Yeah.
Nishan, just to clarify, I guess when people say that society makes rules, I guess what they mean is that a rule is made by the acceptance of a majority of the society, taking into consideration that no person or close to no people are kind of harmed by that law. Because you rightly said that moral precedent should also be taken into account, but it is the society that kind of collect all the moralities and makes it into a value so that the government can recognize. Like HP rightly pointed out that people in Goa it's beef. Okay, people in Mizoram eat beef. In Gujarat it's banned. In several other states it might be banned. So the government knows that okay, we have two kind of societies in India. One society eats beef, the other does not. So the government cannot make a uniform blanket rule that okay, beef is banned. It is according to the states.
No, it can. It can actually. There is a
It can,
because
but
our
it will
democracy
not.
is. It will not. That is a different thing, but it can.
Yeah, but it is
Because
there.
our democracy is ruled by majority, na? They can do whatever they want.
Exactly. The beef banned in Jammu and
That,
Kashmir, by the way. Kashmir is a 90% Muslim population state of our country, and beef is banned in Kashmir also, if you don't know.
uh,
So
I
they
guess it's banned in Jammu and Kashmir, and Jammu is like
No,
I
no.
guess
Before
Jammu is
creating
mostly
You
law,
rightly
legal.
we
said
also need
that
to think from this direction also, as while law used to get created, as I mean the folks which are sitting on that chair, who are creating or who are sanctioning or approving that law, they used to also think from this direction, as is it suitable for that region also or not, as rightly said HP and Saju right now, as it is democratic country, as well as HP raised one point, as in Kashmir it is beef is banned. As per my knowledge, it is banned. I mean, it is banned in those states or regions. Government has been, or that respective body has been thought from that end, as there should be, uh, currently the count of respective cows and buffaloes are less. If started doing slaughter to them, again the discrimination of the count of those animals will get happen. So
Mm,
that's what I was saying. I mean, from
no,
every direction that
uh,
respective body should think.
I
I
like
used
to
to think.
Nishant, see, first and foremost, as far as Kashmir is concerned, there has not been a government in Kashmir from past 5 years. So the sitting person
Right.
governing Kashmir is not a person from the society of Kashmir. He's somebody who is sent from the center to govern those people. So
Right.
currently, Satyapal Malik is the governor of Kashmir. He's from UP. Okay, the whole machinery and everybody that is governing Kashmir is a non-Kashmiri base. They don't even know the language. They don't even know the food. They decide for them. But what I am trying to say is this person sitting in a said chair and you're saying that person knows everything. I don't think that's true. I would rather mostly say that's even stupid to say that, because these people, one way or other way, they just do appeasement. You think a law is passed after thinking a lot. Okay, that does not happen. The only thing that is done is we need certain sections to vote for us, and those sections would be very happy to know that we have banned beef. But then again, we from the back door tell other people, other communities, minorities, you can eat beef, but do one thing: don't eat cow wala beef. Go for buffalo beef, that is allowed. Go for ox beef, that's allowed. But just leave this.
Loopholes.
Then in this loophole also. The remaining cows. See, what happens is beef can never be. I don't know. We're switching the topic, but little still, I will tell you. Beef,
Yeah, it is.
beef can
No, it
never.
is the same topic. Yeah.
Beef can never
Yeah, it
come.
is knowledgeable actually. Yeah.
But beef can never come from cow who is giving milk. And you're saying the animals have gone down. So, for example, what is the price for beef per kg? If you go look at mutton, it is 700, 800. Chicken, it's 200, 250. Beef is very less in comparison to mutton. The prices are very low. And nobody will spoil a gir cow that costs 70,000,
Oh.
80,000 rupees and chop it off for beef. That's a very, what do you say, loss aspect of it. You will lose
Mm-hmm.
50% of the value by killing the cow. So no farmer would do that. When does the farmer do that? When the cow is very old and one, it has stopped giving milk, and once it is not giving him anything and he is feeding it. That is good to do go seva, but let's look at it from a farmer's point of view who is very poor, who is earning 5,000 rupees a month. For him
Right.
to keep that cow and rather to sell it for 8,000 rupees. Okay. It is one way, that economical source that that person was getting for keeping that cow. And then again, he doesn't do anything to it. He doesn't keep it at his home. He doesn't feed it because he does not have money. What he does is he throws it away, he asks it to go, shoves it off. So it keeps wandering on road. Sometimes it gets hit by buses, sometimes does not eat. And you see
Yeah.
these animals everywhere in UP, they're falling on roads. They're falling on these paddy grounds. So all of
Right.
them, if you just look, they're not taken care of also, and plus the farmer. So only thing that government does is tells you want it, okay, I will give me the vote. That is very, and the same government then picks these people up, these cows up, and butchers them and exports them. Nobody knows what happened to them once the government takes them. And then you see these bonds coming in where you see everybody is shoving them off to Europe. They are not parceling the cows alive to Europe, na? Would they chop them off
Right.
and send them with their respective Brahman lobby of chopping in? The Brahmins are involved in it. Such a shame.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh.
Just to
This
add,
is very shame reality.
beef is not banned in Kashmir. It was before the abrogation of Article 370, but after the abrogation of 370, in prima facie and in practice, also beef ban has been lifted
My
off of
point
the
is that only, na,
UP.
beef was banned. I'm not wrong. So what I'm saying is,
Yeah,
if it is banned in a 99% practicing place where they practice eating beef, it was passed. How it got repealed, that's a separate point. But the point is,
but
it was passed for it also. It was not passed for Mizoram by the same government. When it was in power in Mizoram also, it was in power in Nagaland also. In Goa, Manohar Parrikar
there is
was.
a society, there is a societal reason because the people of Kashmir prefer mutton and they kind of look down upon beef. So it was the people's representative after a huge kind of protest by the people. The beef ban was imposed.
No protest was done for beef in Kashmir. No protest.
Beef,
It was
a
killed
protest
automatically
was the, a
because
protest was done
got
for the
cows.
banning the beef.
So what people did is they started. There was this person called from AIP, Awami Ittihad Party, called Engineer Rashid. He took the cow in the center and chopped it and started eating the beef and called it beef party. They didn't protest. So what happened? They wanted to go for the beef, but at the same time, 700 cows were cut on the same day, and everybody was
Oh.
eating openly, and some 50,000 people were having food. That's how it got repealed because government got embarrassed. There was no protest. This is all appeasement. If you just look at it, you'll understand it very clearly what is going to happen. They just think everybody is a fool, trapped in a box. Whatever is fed to them via the selected media.
But that itself is a protest, right? I mean, if I make a law and then there are 50,000 people coming out and eating beef right in front of the party which made the law, that itself in itself is a protest. I mean, the
Exactly.
government just,
That is
the government to save its face, what it did, instead of like falling down to the protest, it just
No,
made like, okay, fine, you know, like to save face, it just
that,
called it
that,
appeasement.
that is true. That is true. Okay,
I did not know about this. Okay, that's a very brilliant way to protest.
that is true. But what I recollect from those times, it was we celebrate the ban. It is not going to affect anyway, we're going to eat anyway. It's sold everywhere. So nobody came to a shop and told them, ki, go and just shut your shop. So, for example, if you do a you will see police or you will see CRPF or you will see anti-riot police coming to you and saying, please go off. There was not a single place or a single point where they were saying, shut your shops, don't sell it. They just got, it was out of embarrassment. It was
It's
not out.
either embarrassment or they don't want to start something even
banned.
which is even more, drastic than eating beef. So since Kashmir is it's a minefield basically. So you don't want to set out something just for a simple this thing. So basically, both parties are scared actually to go ahead with something solid. So that's why they do all
And the
this.
shop
They'll call the protest and appeasement. That's what they're doing. So that's the problem here.
and the shops were
India
not closed
very diverse.
because the ban was not for selling, it was just for the slaughter.
Now you can, there are 100 ways to put it around, but at that time more, because I watched it carefully, that's why I'm giving you fact with the name of the person and everybody who commented. It was an embarrassment. The situation came like such. There was now again slaughter. If there is not a ban on eating, so how can you eat if it's not slaughtered? Bina kaate khaoge kaise? You cannot eat a live cow. You have to slaughter it first, then eat. So what kind of
Slaughter could have any other
slaughter it? So again, playing
slaughter could have happened at any other place and you can just sell it there.
then again, how do you prove that you didn't kill that cow? It came from Jammu. It is a loophole they make just to please people. These people are not stupid that they will say, "Ha, do this and nobody will know." These are just small loopholes. They just try to appease few people, and then again, they themselves don't mind. There's a good top brass, in a country that eats every kind of non-vegetarian food that's out there, whether it's sharks, whether it's cows, whether it's mutton, chicken, they enjoy biryani of every kind. It's just for the normal
I
people.
guess we have went off a tangent and a half. The topic was something.
Yeah, and I think the topic has completely changed now. I thought I came ready for some different kind of beef, and
No,
then
I'll tell you, there is I think the point being made here and how is it related to the gay marriages is, this whole notion of one law for everyone is, actual intention is one consensus for everyone, right? So the majority people have to understand the needs of the minority also, and then make sure that the laws don't hurt them, right? That is what the whole discussion is. If you ban gay marriages, then what you're trying to do is to hurt those people, right? And I really don't buy the argument that uh, that this it will spoil the society and things like that, right? It is just
that's true.
it is just argument to act against. See, there's nobody who is gay or homosexual in my family, and I have a son, and myself and my wife discussed that if when all these topics was going on around 6-7 years back, that if our son turns out to be like this, we will not oppose to it. We will support him, right? And we will accept him. But
That
I
is
myself,
Yeah,
no,
definitely. To
but
accepting this,
you
I truly
That
agree
that
with
is
you.
great.
But
what would
just
you
from the just
you
please
will
go on.
support? But you're saying that's not going to be problematic. I'm saying place two people who are kissing, two men who are kissing, and place them in Meerut, Uttar Pradesh. Let them kiss and let them hug. Let them smooch in front of people. Are you saying that's not going to create any problem?
no, even the
If a
Definitely.
male and a female
heterosexual
kiss in
smooching in
mirror,
public
it's
is a
gonna
problem.
create a
Yeah.
hell of marriage.
So from what HB is saying, what I can understand for
Even
the whole conversation is
PDA of
basically,
any kind is a problem.
yeah,
That,
Exactly.
in India, I guess. You could say kissing in
but
India is okay, but then pissing in India is okay, but kissing is
See,
not.
kissing, I don't know who all are from Orissa here. Anybody from Orissa or who has visited Konark temples? Uh, Somebody would have.
Huh.
If you go and visit the Konark temples and look at the carvings on the sides of temple, and I'm talking about thousands of years old, if not 1,000, at least 600, 700 years old temple.
Hmm.
Those carvings will put Playboy magazine to shame.
Hmm.
That
Yeah,
was
yeah,
the
definitely.
level of
It is
our
not just in
society. So
Odisha.
advanced we were.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. It was not
But
just in
society,
Odisha. It was in Ajanta, Ellora also that kind of carvings are there.
Huh.
So
every place
It
you'll
is
find such
depicting the
carvings.
society in those days,
yes,
right?
Yeah,
that is
because
absolutely
society
true.
do change, no? Because when witch hunting was famous in Europe, there was no such issue in India. Now witch hunting is practically gone in Europe, and in some parts of Ranchi and Chhattisgarh, we do see cases of witch hunting, which is like totally
Huh.
new to our society.
Yeah.
See,
Consuming drugs is banned in India, but nobody talks about the Naga sadhus, right? It is precious, blah blah blah, whatever you call it. It is natural biology.
so in India, it's basically like it's how you implement a law, how you enforce it. I think the Indian population is like really way out of its, way forward to its age. Actually, it's the. I mean, some guy was saying like he was saying the intent of having sexual relationships in homosexual beings is just a pleasure. But if you consider India itself, we are the ones who wrote the Kama Sutra, right? So what's the intent of the Kama Sutra? It was not to procreate. It was all about the pleasure. I'm Christian. I might be wrong. So that
Correct. Agree,
yeah, the age of the
absolutely.
Indian population is much more. And like what SP was saying, that we cannot bring in law, and then it's not easy to implement this kind of a law. If you consider, like, you can go to any part of the village in any India. I mean, in India, obviously in our India, you can go to any part of the village. These guys will have a QR code, right? And then they'll say like, take this cigarette for 12 rupees. Do me the online payment UPI. If you can teach people that who can't even count money, we've taught them about UPI. It's a very vague example. I'm sure we can come up with this also. It's about how you enforce it. So if you can enforce it in a really good way, I think anybody will be. And we should stop pretending that
Okay.
homosexuality is a new thing. Homosexuality has been
Okay.
there
No,
So the
my
whole
long before.
my
argument,
only
no.
my only
This is
one
wrong.
my only one point was there. Start as I mean, I'm just not trying to get this because why it is necessary to have marriage law itself. Why I'm saying that the ultimate why marriage terminology itself was defined because to agree from the society to be either those respective male and female. And why marriage definition was there because it was obviously one male and female they can reproduce and they can form the child. So to give the identity to that respective child, that's why that marriage constitution or marriage terminology was formed. Now in homosexuality itself, it is not possibility to to have a child. So why it is required to have marriage law to pass on, to compare to that, government already has allowed or law has already been allowed to stay, and
Uh,
it is legal now. So
See,
if that is legal, then why it is required? That's what
I
yeah,
like to
my point.
words here. First thing is it's new, as Brian said, homosexuality. Chalo, let's say the other part where a person is completely male, all hormones, 40 chromosomes are equal. That's a different story. But transgender is a syndrome that happens by birth. You can have a girl or a woman who has a penis, or a man who has
Right,
breasts. Okay, that is
right,
chromosomal defect that happened since the humans came. Okay, so the first person who
right,
came, you could have seen after like 10 generations, I'm saying starting of the human civilization, a transgender. So it is not
right.
something so what is happening mixing up is कि ज्यादा ये लोग घूमेंगे तो हमारे बच्चे भी ऐसे हो जाएंगे in a normal Hindi language. What is happening, it is
Hmm,
some kind of a cultural wave that you might
hmm,
not
hmm.
like men more than women, but a straight man can easily answer if he sees a woman walking backside front side, what is he observing and what is he saying first. A gay man
Right,
on the contrary standing there will rather check out for the same kind of a thing in a man. That is something that's coming out from your nerves, your neurons, from your inside your body. Okay, so
agree.
Then if you're internally like that, you're thinking everything from a different prism. Say we had some female participants here, looking at the society from their perspective would be very different in comparison to what we are looking at. Looking at everything on that time of the month, on or pregnancy or childbirth, these are big experiences which we don't know about. We can feel, even we cannot feel, we can just understand a little bit. Then the experience is totally different. So if somebody is gay, then he wants that social security. Ki, haan, if that person is married, he's getting a marriage certificate. In this marriage certificate, he's going it to the Aadhaar officer. Aadhaar officer is cutting his wife's name and writing Mr. XYZ and the surname of the guy. Then again, she's coming on the 712 extract of that guy. If this guy dies, his property doesn't go to his brothers or his father, it comes to this woman. Then again, if something happens, the first person to get that person, God forbid somebody dies, the first person to get that person's body is his wife or immediate family. Even before parents, the wife takes it. Same situation, just giving them permit to live is just two roommates. Tomorrow, something happens to one, other would say, Tera kuch nahi lena dena. You are just somebody who he knew. You don't have any right. Even if that person has spent some 50 years with that person, they've spent all their life eating, fighting, going to places, sacrificing for each other. But the society tells you are nobody to each other. They can be easily, a small enemy can easily disturb their whole social fabric. A simple person जिसको उनके साथ उड़ गई, somebody who is not in good terms with them can spoil everything around them. So that kind of security, if two people don't get, they would want to fight for it. Marriage paper, you think is very easy, but just God forbid, try to imagine divorcing your wife, and the amount of money and everything you have earned going with her will tell you what is the value of marriage. Okay, so then again,
Yeah,
it's a
that
very
is correct. But yeah, that is correct. I agree with this. But ultimately, see, for an example, just take as an example as I'm gay, and my partner is the same as male partner. If I am having that much true relationship with him, and I am having faith on him, I trust on him, then I will, and he also from the same. Obviously, there are clauses from legal perspective only. We can mark. I can mark him as well as he can mark me as a future financial transfer to each other. That is up. So that can be solved out. First
that
point. Second point, I wanted to say, as you said, related to, it will get the courage or confidence after marriage to this couple. Ultimately, by passing 377, it is giving the confidence to them, and they can, by law, they can roam with each other in public places also. So that's what my thoughts. Actually.
that again is the same situation. I'll tell you, it comes down to sex, I guess. Ki, how much they can love each other, how much. I think these people are normal like every other couple. You just see couples meeting each other, having intercourse like 100 times for first 5 years or 2 years or 3 years, then they become normal like other humans and animals. Not very, they be sleeping together every night.
Right.
Are holding their
Exactly.
hands after 50s. So people want their own spaces. It
हाँ,
is
ये
not
तो
liberty to kiss each other and hug each other. इतना उमड़ उमड़ के सबको प्यार नहीं आता. ठीक है?
Exactly.
One thing, कि there's a legal perspective to it. So if I am marrying somebody and then on the first day I give it in writing कि हाँ, my everything is yours. Let's say I'm marrying my wife only, and I just wrote it कि हाँ, I'm giving this part of property to you. If I die, this happens to you. Then again, it pollutes the whole marriage and the love concept. Now you start counting those money, those land, properties, and everything on the first day. Or let's say you need that trust. कि या तो on opposite of it, I am not signing, I am not writing. Then my wife will say, "Nahi, you don't have trust on me. Just write." Or you trust me, there's no need to write. Trust is not something that, see, the system or the institution has been kept there, and you can see the amount of divorce cases in the court. You can see 1 in 3 in every 10 couples is breaking up their marriages these days. They're going to court. The
Right.
marriage is giving them the right. And if they wouldn't have married, imagine the number of children not getting their education. Imagine number of women not getting alumni. They're coming on roads for food because they give everything. Most of Indian households, they give jobs. Firstly, most of them are not working only. Wives, they get dependent on their husbands. Then they have 2 children, 3 children, and if they get divorced and they don't get any single penny, if the law was not there, what would happen to them? So same way, the husband would have trusted her, or she would have trusted him, or they would not have trusted each other and written down papers. That come on, that's very difficult to do on the first day or starting of the marriage, or any time in the marriage also. People, if you ask
I
your
agree.
grandfather, write everything to your grandmother after 80 years, 70 years of marriage, he will also say कि नहीं जरूरत क्या है. So that is not that easy to say, but once you face and give that social up, and everybody knows you're married, it becomes very difficult.
I do agree. It's a
Right.
very practical issue for
No, this is
the homosexual couples.
sorry, I'm butting in. Just one line.
Yeah.
See, you are trying to mix inheritance with marriage. Okay, that's a different topic. Inheritance.
No, marriage in its own way is inheritance. The second you marry somebody, she owns whatever you have. If you have a 712 extract of a land and you have 2 children, they're over 18, your wife needs to come on that paper equally. The second she marries, inheritance.
No, that's what I'm saying. That it is as per the rules and laws. Okay, that this has been done. There
Yes,
are talks going on that why inheritance should not be considered as a freebie to your children. Right? Those kind of discussions are going on, but that is a larger topic.
Discussion that is never going to happen. That is impossible.
Yes.
Will there be a law that will say your children won't inherit what you have? There'll never be a law.
No, but it is fair
There
to ask
can
for
be,
a
there
tax.
can be. Yeah, it is fair to ask. I agree. It is fair to ask because it is not that respective son or daughter's, I can say, property, right? What you have earned with your hard sweat, your hard blood. Why it should be so easily gone to them? If you don't want it, then you should have that right. It should not pass to them.
That is
Well,
there.
the perspective is different, but we are changing the topic. Yeah.
But that is there. If you have earned something, I'll tell you the inheritance law. If you have earned 1 crore rupees and you bought, say, 1 acre land, that 1 acre land is yours to decide if it goes to some anathalaya, some orphanage, or your children. What cannot
Yeah,
go
you
to
can make a will.
you can decide, and that cannot go. What you have inherited, say for example, there's a house, and it was from your great grandfather, it came to your grandfather, then came to you. Okay, so you yourself inherited it. You cannot stop the inheritance there. Once your child becomes 18 plus, you cannot tell him ki, "Nahi, you have no right on this house," because you yourself got it by inheritance. So the law says if you have inherited something, your child will inherit from you. If you're alive, he will not inherit everything. There will be a partial 25% segregation to each child. And if, say, for example, there are 4 children, you will have the 25% and remaining 75% will be distributed in the remaining 4 children. So 25% you retain. But then again, the inheritance law says whatever you earn, you can donate it to anybody. It is not necessary that goes to your child. That law is already there. The only difference is your child cannot inherit. You cannot stop your child inheriting something that you yourself have inherited.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Agree.
Yeah, that is also fair.
That is there. The law is there. That cannot be changed. Anyways, I think there's a very good discussion we all had. And looking at my point was only I think it's very far from practicality. The kind of country we have, the kind of states we have a Kerala, we have a West Bengal, we have a Punjab, we have a Jammu and Kashmir, we have a Nagaland, we have so many different culturally, topographically, geographically different regions. It's very difficult to bind everything with one knot. So I think down the line,
correct,
as far as centralization is concerned, gay laws, gay marriages at a central level is a very far-flung concept. It's very far from getting done.
Practically to happen is very difficult. Agree. Yeah.
Just to add, I don't think anyone is against homosexual couples. I guess everyone here agrees that they should be allowed to.
No,
live in a
those are their
relationship and everything.
those are their
Yeah,
legal and personal rights. Nobody should
exactly.
deny that, because everyone have their own, have their own choice how they should live. Uh, it is given by them from nature as well as law by their birth. So we are nobody to say yes or no, ideally, on that. So yeah.
Ideally, but I don't think that's easy. If you
Ah,
see
that's
two
true.
gay couples even in your society, and for that matter, these people usually color their hairs orange, brown, purple, and they have a lot of tattoos. They are very, what do you say, shredded, and mostly what generally gays are. And if you see these two, three
Hmm.
surrounding your
I
society,
mean,
first thing your parents would
Yeah,
say,
yeah, but what is the argument against it, except for the law thing? I could not hear any specific argument against it actually, other than legally it's
uh,
challenged and all.
the argument then there is that if they're roaming around in your society, your father, your neighbor, an old person will definitely, somebody, if you not you, will say कि to their children कि नहीं वो जो
Right.
है uncle उनके पास नहीं जाना,
दूर रहना. Correct.
दूर रहना.
Correct.
तो वो भी तो that
that
No,
is
also
but no, that's what I'm trying to ask. Like, is that perspective captured here? Anybody spoke as to why those people are against it?
against. I don't think anybody would openly say कि नहीं. That's the same situation where you say कि नहीं, I don't think there's a problem. India is a secular nation. Everybody is living happily. But then
And I
again,
guess some people do have that superiority complex. They'll have discrimination based on anything.
they cannot.
Humans are inherently like that.
Yeah, it can be inside me, but why would I say it on a public platform and try to embarrass myself? I'd keep it to myself and I would say, nah, nah.
Right.
No, but even those people who are saying that they don't want to see these people roaming around in the society, nobody's saying why. It is like a choice, right?
No, the first point that would come to your mind is, if these people run around the society, might be my child might someday think, "Ki, what is this? Let me try." And what if these guys tell him and convert him and make him a gay? That is lack of knowledge.
But
But
that
then
is that
that is
that
the first.
argument in
Not
itself is no, that argument in itself is turning it on its head, right? You are afraid
yeah.
of something because you are afraid of that thing coming to you now, but you're not telling why you are afraid of it in the first place.
I guess
That
people are afraid because it will break the social fabric, and I guess now they don't want any social chaos. The systems are running well and good, and I guess it's just when something new comes, people are generally, in negation of that. With time, I guess people will kind of
I,
agree to
I
that.
think it
But
is
it is
because
not.
of
Yeah.
one of the criteria would be lack of self confidence and lack of trust on your own, whoever it is.
To
Beings.
put it correctly, insecurity. You have insecurity.
Insecurity. Correct.
And
Correct.
if,
Correct.
say, for example, somebody is a gay person and he hugs you, a man hugs a man, that's very normal. But if a gay person hugs you, if you start looking, if somebody is looking, I hugged him. That
Exactly.
insecurity, or somebody touches you in a way and you
Yeah,
think,
but HP speaking, right? My question is, I don't know how to. I think my question is still not clear.
Huh.
You are the society is saying I don't want XYZ people to be here because I'm afraid of dash, and
Huh.
why I'm afraid of dash is because that XYZ people will come to my home.
Huh.
That is what you're saying. Now that dash nobody is defining.
that dash is everywhere. Na? That can
That
I
dash nobody can define also, to
only
be very frank, Saju. Because if anybody would define that, it will be against law, because law has given permission
exactly.
to for this.
So the
So
law
nobody
is
can
and
define.
that dash might be subjective. Different people might have different dashes.
yes. The subject. Let's talk about the law only. If you just say anybody, any Indian citizen, as long as if he is Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, anything, he can live anywhere. But just go to a certain society with a Muslim Aadhaar card, okay, and PAN card, and go to a proper, let's say, Kothurud side, or proper that Sadash
Right.
major Brahman area, and try
Right.
to rent a flat with that Muslim ID. You will not get. Maybe there are people I'm not saying India is full of love and everything, but you will find rejections. You will find
Correct,
people
correct,
saying,
correct.
no,
Yeah.
we don't have Muslims here. But then what is the dash?
Yes.
Why are you Muslims? The same dash applies
Right.
every. You cannot define dash. Dash is the prejudice in your own mind that you think these people are, whether they are different religion, whether they are gay, whatever they are. That dash is inside your own head. It can
Right.
be.
And
Then
that dash can only be that dash can only be definable only and only it is written in law. As for an example, as a terrorist, if somebody is doing any terrorist activities, then you have right to give that dash answer to that dash as this respective is terrorist. Why? Because it is against law. Whatever is
But
not
this
is not against law, you can't say fill that dash
not
basically.
against law. Terrorism is against country. There are TADA,
Huh.
MOK,
Yes.
UAPA, wrong acts. You cannot have a terrorist roaming and renting flat. Okay.
Right. Right.
See, that I agree. That is a very concrete thing. A terrorist act is a very concrete thing.
Terrorist, if some terrorist comes to a place and he other card that I want.
Yeah. Actually, why I gave
I
that
guess instead
You
of
example.
Aadhaar
cannot
card,
argue
he'll have
that
a gun.
if a terrorist comes to your place with an Aadhaar card, you won't rent him a flat and you are discriminating. No.
Terrorist is anti-country, anti-India activity. You cannot roam and rent a flat. That's not that.
Exactly.
And we
Exactly.
can define exactly what is that terrorist does and why it is anti-India. We can define it exactly. Now, the same
Exactly.
thing doesn't hold good for the
Other
gay
things.
marriages.
Correct.
Your place with
Correct.
an
Correct.
say, I don't want terrorist activity here, is going to push that to do terrorist activity.
If somebody says that I don't want gays living in my society, then he has to define why. Right? That definition, that dash is not defined.
But the issue
Definition is
with
not
that dash
possible to
is
give.
it's not just with humans, even with machines. When machines came, people were afraid that they might steal our jobs. When computers came, people were scared. Recently, the EVM thing
But
is
that is
going
those
on.
are
The
concrete
EVM has
things.
come.
My job was stolen by a machine. I know it.
Then again, that is the truth. To it, you will find
And the EVM thing is also an example.
you will find gay people mostly getting HIV.
I was
You will
wondering
find
why EVM did not come into the discussion yet.
no,
Yeah,
EVM
I
is
guess
a fan base, but
election month.
huh? No, I'm
It's the
saying
election month.
it's not the month; it's election week. It's some days ahead now. The
Yeah,
10 days will
in
decide.
continuation.
But then again, we're going to be part of the same ecosystem. I don't think any change is happening on the ground level. We'll have the same prime minister. We'll have the same cabinet and everything. Maybe
I
with
don't
the
think the cabinet will listen, but yeah.
I think that is likely not going to happen because Mr. Modi is somebody who trusts people, and once he trusts them, he doesn't let them go. And whoever pisses him off is not there. So, be it Nirmala Sitharaman, be it Mr. Amit Shah, be it Anurag Thakur, be it these, maybe some new faces will be there, but the old guards are not going to change. He doesn't change people who he trusts. If Mr. Modi comes
Okay,
back,
guys, I'm so sorry. I need to drop off, but it was
I,
really great
it's
discussion and
got,
knowledgeable. Really.
it's
I
got
mean,
long. I think they're doing this every Saturday.
yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
every
yes.
Saturday at 11.
Yes, let's catch up next Saturday. Whoever wants to continue can continue. I'll see you all guys next Saturday.
Definitely, I will also. And HP, I mean, I would like to get in touch with you personally because I really got that few of the points from your end, and I think so. That's what I felt.
Huh.
You are from Pune.
Yes, I'm from Pune only.
So I do from Pune. So I would really like to get in touch with you
Everybody's from Pune.
personally.
I think we
Yeah,
all
me
are
too.
WhatsApp group. No,
Sorry?
Yeah, I guess you
Everybody-
guys can contact through the WhatsApp group through personal emails.
so
Yeah, exactly.
my number is up there. It is I think
Just
Definitely,
drop a
definitely. I will
text
ping you
saying hi,
personally.
I am HP or something.
everybody is there. We can get in touch anytime.
Sure,
Okay,
sure, sure.
it
Chalo,
was.
thank you. Thank you very much, all. Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah, yeah. Bye.
Bye bye.
Swagat, do you have any points to conclude, or should we end the meet?
Actually, I do not have. If you can have, you can please elaborate it.
Uh, uh, it's a big discussion, but it was regarding the homosexual couples should be given the right to marry.
Yes, yes, I know.
So I guess let's end the meet.
Your voice is not clear. Hello,
Thank you.
hello.
Yeah, sure.
Actually, you were saying something, right?
No, I was not. I was saying let's end the meet if you don't have anything to add.
As we cover regarding the points like human rights, Article 1 of 4, 114, 141, and 26, according to me, there should be the legality of the same-sex marriage, as I covered it.
Oh, thanks. I'll have to go. So thank you for joining.